Getting your mortgage broker company license is one of the first steps towards that dream of owning your own business in the mortgage industry. You know, it's more than just a piece of paper. And in actuality, there's about 20 different steps, starting from forming your business entity to getting your licensing done if you need your 20 hours, getting your lenders signed up, your HR documents, your marketing yourself through a website, attracting clients. So in this video, we're going to be helping anyone who is considering opening their own mortgage brokerage in the state of Florida, the Sunshine State. Hi guys, I'm Megan Marsh, a real estate and mortgage broker expert and consultant with Collab Services. I have opened more mortgage brokerages than I like to admit. I've also, with my husband, I have opened a real estate brokerage, a title company. With my other business partner, I have opened a commercial loan brokerage, a processing company, and a consulting and franchise for any people who are trying and want help, a brokerage in a box. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the first steps with you so that it's less confusing, less overwhelming. And so if you are in the state of Florida, you are going to get to see exactly what you need to do. I just want to state again, if you've already taken your 20-hour pre-licensing class and you've passed the NMLS exam, you've already completed one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of people have to getting their license, because you have to have your NMLS license to apply for a company license. And if you want to be the owner of your own business with that license, you don't have to have your NMLS, but someone has to have the NMLS as your what's called control person. Organization that you're following their rules isn't just NMLS, but in Florida, it's the Florida Office of Financial Regulation. And they're the ones that set the specific things you need to do to open your company. They're the authority that oversees licensing for mortgage brokers, mortgage bankers, lenders, and the actual procedures are handled by the NMLS system. It's where you do everything, but the state agency is who you'll be held accountable by. Now, the great news is that in Florida, loan officers, it's not as cumbersome of a process. It doesn't require all the steps and things that are required in some of the more difficult states like New York or Arizona. Getting the license isn't the biggest hurdle. I think most of you could do it, maybe even could do it alone, and you simply have to apply for it. But I want to make sure that all of you understand this. Don't let your confidence in your loan origination skills downplay the importance of getting the other 19 steps right about opening your company. Don't let those things make you feel like the license is the only thing that you need to do to own your own company. I think anybody can get the license and own their own company, but can they do it profitably? Can they do it in a way where they have time and financial freedom? Can they make the decisions? Do they know all the things that took us 10 years to know? Probably not. So deciding how you want to go about doing this is really, really important. It's why I jumped out of origination. And it's why at Collab, we created the Lab, which is our exclusive mortgage broker community for loan officers and mortgage brokers, where you can find resources, support, proven strategies. We have our mortgage broker fast track course, helps you start finding success much faster. If you're thinking, I'm not quite ready to open a mortgage brokerage yet, that's okay. Knowing and having a roadmap and knowing what you need to do and getting it all ready, I recommend that you do that beforehand and not do it when you have maybe a day or a week or even a month to do it. Because if you need to pivot quickly, you want to know how to do everything. It'll take a lot of the stress out of the equation. So don't wait till you're ready. Start building your foundation now. And we'll put a link in the description if you want to look into joining the Labs group. If you would also like to learn a little bit more about licensing after today's video, we'll put a link to our free licensing course that you can subscribe and get sent to your email. Now, let's dive in just a little bit deeper into the actual steps for getting your company approved in the state of Florida. And the best way to do this is I am going to take you guys to my screen and I'm going to show you the exact website you want to go to grab your checklist. And we're going to walk through your checklist. I'm going to compare it to another state so you can see the differences in what you need to do and how I think it's one of the easier states to move forward and get your mortgage broker company opened. So the great news for any of you that are looking to get your license in, say, Florida, is that Florida is one of the easier states to get your mortgage broker license. Everyone, no matter what state you're in, starts the same way, where you need to go in and create a company NMLS account. Once you create that company NMLS account, and you then have to file for an LLC, get your business structure set up, and then you're going to go to the page that you're looking at on the screen right now, which is on the NMLS website, and it's the state licensing. So if you're in Florida, you're going to click Florida. If you are watching this and you're in another state, you'll click whichever state. So when you click your state, it's going to bring you to state licensing requirements, and you're going to see this big list of different, company licenses. So what you'll want to do is go down, and for Florida, mortgage broker license right on top. So easy for you. For states that you can't find mortgage broker license, because that does happen, it's because they sometimes will lump them together. And then what you will do is you will go over and click on new application. And what's going to pop up for you is a checklist that looks like this. So everyone will have some type of checklist for their state. Good news for you, everyone who is doing Florida. Florida is one of the easier states. I'm going to show you this by comparing one of the other states, one of the harder states, but on a scale of 1 to 10, with New York, for example, being a 10, that Florida is a 1 or a 2. So let's look at Florida's license first. So if you look here, here's your instructions. So it says Form MU1. So every business shall apply for a mortgage broker license by submitting a Form MU1. You do this at the end. When you're doing this process, you go through and you get everything ready that's on the checklist, and then you will complete Form MU1 before you do your final submission. And Form MU1, I did pull it up for you guys. It looks like you filled one out when you got your individual license. The MU1 is the company one, and it's the questionnaire where it goes through and asks you all these questions, which we cover in our 3-part licensing video series that you can access in the description. We can send those to you, and we do walk through bits and pieces of this, what some of the questions are, how you answer them. So that's number 1 on the Florida checklist. Filing requirements upon receipt of the following. They will begin reviewing. They're going to want your MU1. They're going to want you to have a check or a payment completed and sent. You're going to have to do an FBI criminal background check, which I believe is right at the end when you're submitting. You'll have an option right on the NMLS website to do that. And then they want a state criminal history background check, and then a credit report for the control person. And it says right here, control person that holds an active loan originator license in Florida is exempt from the FBI. Ooh, okay, because they already did it for you when you got your license. And then it goes down and says, all right, number 3, principal loan originator, complete the qualifying individual section of the MU1. So it's going to ask who's holding the license for the company. Somebody has to have a mortgage originator's license. Look here, you can click right on here for the FBI and state criminal background check. Each control person must submit fingerprints to a live scan vendor approved by the Florida Department. So control person, people who have, usually it's a certain amount, a certain percentage of ownership. And then here are disclosure questions. Big thing in mortgage licensing is if you have any arrests, if you have any felony, you have to explain why. It could be one of the reasons you don't get approved unless you can, unless a good amount of time has passed or there's a good reason that you are going to put on here. If when they pull your credit report, so you went through this, if the control person has the license, you went through this to get your license. If you didn't, and you're doing this for the first time, if there's anything on your credit report that there's a judgment, a tax lien, copies of, certain things that are on there, they're going to want documentation on it. Here it breaks down the total cost that you're going to be sending in, the $578, where you need to mail that to or overnight it to, who to contact if you have questions. And that's really it. And which is super easy because let's go look at New York. All right, so this is New York's checklist. New York is the 10, okay? So it is the extreme, but I want you to see because most are in the middle. I don't believe Florida even said there was a required bond. So you can't even submit your application for most states until you have a bond lined up, and they're going to tell you the amount of the bond that you have to get. Experience. I can't remember Florida's form saying experience. New York, each applicant must have or employ an individual who has at least 2 years of underwriting, loan origination, mortgage banker, mortgage broker, that you've been in the industry for at least 2 years. Now, that is new. They've changed it to someone employed for you. And then let's keep going down. So, they talk about approval, denial, but this is really the checklist here for New York. So they give you the fees, which was higher than Florida, and submission of company MU1. Got it. Okay. Are you using other trade names? Or do you have a DBA, a fictitious name? So if you do, you need to submit those forms. Resident registered agent, primary contact of employees. You're going to have to list out your employees. Non-primary contact employees. So if you are using a third party for licensing, for legal, all that stuff, you're gonna have to list who those people are, what their contact info is. You have to do your disclosure questions, qualifying individuals we looked at, but I want to get down to this page. They want a business plan, and they want the business plan to cover all these things here. Marketing, products, target, operating structure, aggregate volume you expect to do. They want to know your staffing and internal policies. They want to know they want your formation docs. That is pretty common. I don't know why it's not on Florida's, but which means you have to file your LLC in most other states, and you have to have all of these pieces of documentation based on the type of LLC that you form. Management chart, organizational chart, your surety bond. I mean, I'm just not even going to keep going here. We can do a different video on New York. This is for all of you who are trying to get your mortgage broker license in Florida. So it is pretty easy. But the last thing I want to say here before we move away from Florida is that I think a lot of people, if you are in the mortgage industry, you think getting your license, it definitely makes you nervous because you don't know what to expect or how to do it or if you'll get approved, right? Licensing is not the really hard part for most states. And it's everything after. So it is step 1 of 20. So you can go get your license and get approved to be a mortgage broker. But like me, when I opened my first 2 brokerages, you're going to waste so much money with testing systems, not knowing how to do tech integrations, not knowing the links to sign up for Fannie, Freddie, Gus. You are going to literally spend countless hours and time. And so it's why I recommend for anyone doing this to, at least check out the Lab, which is our mortgage broker fast track course, where it helps walk you through steps 1 through 20, getting your mortgage brokerage open. And for those of you that literally want the easy button, that want the brokerage in a box, then schedule a call with our team, because we hand you everything, HR documents, compliance documents, everything, so that you can be off the ground and running and then continue to get support for you and your team. But hopefully this gives some of you in Florida, it makes you breathe and let you know, I can go in and do this, right? You can go in and do this and start your business, but it may be you're starting up a job for yourself. So if you want a business, then getting some of that guidance is essential to successfully creating a business and creating more freedom for yourself, more control, more income. It's definitely worth it for all of you who are in the industry and you've built a nice book of business. Talk to us and come check out more of our videos. Thanks for sticking around for this video, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.